Yes, sir. We're back again. What's going on, my Lighten Ones? It's your boy, Master MC, here to talk about the elephant in the room. No, I'm not talking Zunisha. Zunisha got up and left. The walls weren't opening. Zunisha wasn't caring. We move. Now we're reaching the end game, and like we said before, like we said in the last video, things are starting to move a little interesting, right? We have Buggy the Clown starting a guild. We have Luffy becoming a Yonko. We have Kid and Killer, and Law going off in their own direction. Now we have more Straw Hats. We have all the Straw Hats. All the way down to Yamato. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Yamato is joining the Straw Hats. I put my hat in the ring. I believe it's going to happen. Sign me up. Lock it in. We move. Ex-Admiral, one Kuzan, one Blue Pheasant, a.k.a. AOE Ikiji, Okiji himself, the man, the myth, the legend, the man, the myth, the legend, the cool kid on the block, Mr. One and Get It Done, Ice Age, Ice Time, Ice Capsule, Mr. Cool, Mr. Too Cool. Frozo ain't got nothing on him. Okay. I think the introduction is going a while. So let's get down to the crux of the video. Today we're going to be talking about the past, the present, and the future. Honestly speaking, a person of his caliber, a person of his power, a person with his Delphi, the person with his knowledge, it's very hard for me to believe that he's going to stay on the sideline. Yes, he's affiliated right now with Blackbeard. I get it, but what is he doing? Titanic Captain? Question mark? Maybe. Would be interesting. Things starting to shake up anyway. Tatakai, Tatakai, Tatakai. The rumbling is starting, ladies and gentlemen. And Aokiji is in the eye of the storm. Guess what? Yonko agenda, Admiral agenda. It's a real thing, but guess who stands dead center in the middle? Once an Admiral, strong enough to be a Yonko, now on a Yonko crew. When introduced, the greatest, the pinnacle, the top power of the Marines, one Admiral, AOE Kiji. I mean, come on, man. If that don't get you worked up, don't get you excited, I don't know what is. This is One Piece we're talking about. The One Piece. Shout out our boy. That's your Oda. Keep doing your thing. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. Okay. Honestly speaking, there's a lot to talk about involving this guy. All right? He's pretty much seen it all, done it all, and is willing to do it all. So let's go over and rehash his past a little bit. Honestly speaking, Aokiji has a very interesting past to me, strictly because not only was he an admiral, but in the same token, he was an admiral trained under the hero of the Marines garb, right? And when Sengoku finally spilled the can of beans to all the Marines talking about God Valley and how Garp was fighting alongside Roger to take down the Rocks Pirates, all those Rocks Pirates. And the interesting part about that whole thing to me is that if Sengoku was telling these Marines and they have no idea, does Aokiji also have no idea, right? And the simple fact that if he did, it would be really interesting to see his reaction between the team between Big Mom and Kaido. Mainly speaking because he knows what happened at God Valley. He knows what them teaming up can become, not only as them as Yonkos, but them working together in the past. Speaking about past, ladies and gentlemen, right now, Aokiji has a very interesting path and past, strictly because he was alongside Garp, and he probably knows some information about God Valley, and if he does, that may make him want to move towards Wano, right? We had one Admiral go to Wano. We saw how that came out. Admiral getting, yeah, we move. But wouldn't it be interesting if we also got the Blue Pheasant, the one, Aokiji? Strictly because now he's working for Blackbeard, so if someone had to get something for Blackbeard, and he needed someone who had the brass to be able to do it, well, now Aokiji. So now we're moving more from past to present. In the past, they knew of the ancient weapons, right? Pluton, Uranus, Poseidon. Interesting note that for some reason, Momonosuke is able to communicate with ancient creatures. One way, Shirahoshi is able to communicate with ancient creatures. So that makes me believe, would it be possible for either or to also be able to communicate with the other? Momonosuke with the Sea Kings, Shirahoshi with Zunisha. And the reason why I bring this up is because of what Caribou said. brings it all the way back to where Caribou said a certain person would love to have this kind of information, right? A person who can move on his own and has been there since the beginning. You see, I believe everyone we met in Punk Hazard, the past, ladies and gentlemen, the past, should have some ties to the end or some ties to how Wano will conclude. We had Doflamingo. Doflamingo still captured. Right now we have the cross kill, so maybe Doflamingo escapes. Watch my other video for that. We have Law. Law was there. We had Luffy, the Strass. They were there. But for some reason, we still have this very interesting figure just showing up and stopping Doflamingo from killing his friend. And he mentioned seeing things from the other side. So now we have someone who not only may know about God Valley, may know the secrets that admirals should know, has interacted with celestial dragons and possibly heard a thing or two about a thing or two, because if Doflamingo knows, it may be a situation that the admiral that was protecting him, maybe not Aokiji, but admirals before him when he was a celestial dragon, know a thing or two about a thing or two. So, if a man who knows a lot, seen a lot, but has yet to do a lot, where does that leave him? So now we're moving from the past, getting more to the present, and moving forward. We now just learned that the ancient weapon Pluton is underneath Wano, right? And I just mentioned Aokiji possibly coming to Wano, but also there's a thought out there that Blackbeard may come to Wano. Because remember, Blackbeard said, let's go claim it. If the only person is going to come and, if the Navy are just going to come and take it, let's go claim the prize, right? And there's not a lot of things the Navies can take. They weren't really taking the warlords. They were more or less trying to, get rid of them. They aren't really after Alabasta because the ship is still in the red port. Vivi's missing. The king is dead. What's the point of chasing them, right? But for some reason, they sent warships towards Wano just in case Kaido were to fall. Which means the only thing they're really trying to take is Wano. But the interesting thing is who communicated with who, right? The entire time, the Gorosei were communicating with CP0. There was that disconnect between the Marines and the ships on Wano. And that disconnect could be going from the top of the chain, skipping over one, Fleet Admiral Akainu, and going right to another source. And why would they want to take Wano? Right? It's just affiliated country. They had the samurai. Maybe the samurai could fight for them. Maybe not. They're trying to imprison them, make weapons. Who knows? Like, what would be the point? Unless they had information about the past. One, ladies and gentlemen, they did talk about it not being possible for it to be resurrected or awakened. And that was Luffy's Devil Fruit. And later on, they would also not expect Pluton to fall into the enemy hands. And it just so happens that Pluton being under Wano, Big Mom and Kaido fell underneath Wano, a person who knows about God Valley most likely knows about Big Mom and Kaido, but also a person who's been right next to Celestial Dragons, a person who's working for Blackbeard, a person who may know about a thing or two. Blackbeard's going to claim the prize. The only prize I can think of is Wano, and everything that's on Wano right now involves around ancient weapons and ancient knowledge. Poneglyph Road variety, Pluton, the weapon variety. I mean, it makes sense that we see these massive figures start to gravitate towards Wano, especially with the Straw Hats on their way out. But I don't know, that's a lot of headcanon, so let's reel it back in and go back to present. Right now, I really do believe Aokiji is roaming around for Blackbeard, but at the same time, he still has his own agenda. You see, when he talked to Smoker about seeing things from the other side, it made things really shine in my head. It made me think more about what Aokiji now is willing to do. Whereas before, he had this cloud around his character of always being lazy justice, letting things flow. Whereas Kizaru was unclear justice, while Akainu was absolute justice. You can go deeper into what these actually justices mean, but Aokiji having this lazy justice, now seeing things from the other side, so is he going to still stay the same, or is he actually going to start to move? And a man of his power, and a man of his caliber, a man with his knowledge should start to make moves, ladies and gentlemen, and I do believe we're going to see a lot of those coming soon. So now bringing the music, I set the scene. Picture this with me, man. Get into the head of Mox DMC, the true enlightened one when it comes to One Piece. One, Mr. Too Cool now has everything in the palm of his hands. Honestly speaking, he's a good guy, he's a bad guy, we have no idea. But there's one thing I left out until this very moment was his interaction on Ohara. You see, out of all the people, all the Marines that went there, he was the only one that was actually able traversing the islands, shaking down Dragon he saw. A person who doesn't just... He's not as reckless as Akainu, right? Akainu does things blindly while Aokiji does things calculatively. Everything. He's thinking about everything all the time. Now, you give a man who thinks about everything all the time a little bit more time to think about things he hasn't thought about before, things start to fall in place. All right? A person who may or may not know about poneglyphs, he went to Ohara, he should know about the poneglyphs and their existence. He's now working for a pirate. Before, he had no need for the poneglyphs, but now his interest has peaked. He tried to protect the world himself and failed. He did not beat Akainu, and now Akainu is a fleet admiral. He knows the injustices of the world. He witnessed it firsthand. He delivered the punishment firsthand. He was there. He has blood in his hands, whether you like to admit it or not, ladies and gentlemen. Jaguar DCL left. He did not. He stayed. And not only did he stay after that incident, he remained with the Marines and climbed Fleet Admiral position. Now, handpicked to be the next Fleet Admiral by Sengoku, one who also knows the truth, God Valley. Sengoku put all his faith in this one man, and he failed. But one does not just fail, curp on the ball, and cry themselves to sleep. No, when you fail, you get back up, you dust yourself off, and you try again. But this time, you go about things a little differently. You have information. You have freedom. You have power behind you of a Yonko. Ancient weapon, that's easy. It's under Pluton. That's magma, I'm ice. Come on, bro. Alabasta, no king. No queen. And no princess. That's easy pickings. And now you can hunt Marines? It's looking spooky, folks. Aokiji is in the mix, but I think he's going to be a part of a different faction, one we least expect. And this is going now into the future. You see, the reason why I led off with that is because now we have established Aokiji as this man who has this information, but also has the freedom to go about and do things, right? I already talked about before in my previous videos that it's possible that Aokiji didn't kill Professor Clover or Nico Olivia, maybe pronouncing her name, I can always forget. But at the same time, if he didn't, he would also have someone that has some connection with poneglyphs or being able to read poneglyphs. And the ride is so interesting now is because Kid said, I want to find the man with the flame scar, right? Or the flame burn. I think it was scar. And essentially, I'm not really pointing towards it being Aokiji, but the more I thought about it is how Blackbeard has connection to the underworld, how Kid and Killer have connection to the underworld, and how all these factions that are all coming together have connection to the underworld except for the Straw Hats. So the one thing that the Straw Hats are missing is a true connection to the underworld, right? And that's why when Kid said it and Luffy didn't know what he was, maybe Law being the dark horse he is, but dark horse, I mean, possibly a member of Sword, but Robin also interacted. Robin was also with the Revolutionaries. The Revolutionaries do interact with the underworld. Maybe Law had his hands dirty at one point, also interacted with the underworld. Oh, wait, I forgot he was with Doflamingo, so yeah, he has. So now you're with one faction who has no clue about the underworld, and a couple factions now forming that all are about the underworld. Cross Guild, all underworld. Blackbeard Pirates, basically all underworld, also have the Revolutionaries underworld also getting weapons. So now we have one Aokiji, and now the involvement of the underworld possibly being noted as the man with the flame scar. Maybe not. Obviously, it's still up in the air, but it'd be really interesting if it was. And this is the storyline I'm playing, that he may either know or know of. And if he knows of, that also means he has a way to gain knowledge on poneglyphs. You see, we don't know how many poneglyphs Blackbeard currently has. He may have 3, he may have 2, he may have none. How many Shanks have? He may have all of them, he may have none. Okay? Straw Hats have 3. Right now, they're in the lead. But if Caribou was able to not only pick up information about Poseidon and Pluton, right? I also know a little bit about poneglyphs. Why is it too far-fetched to think Aokiji was not also doing the same? And by that, I mean gaining information just like the Straw Hats. Remember, the journey started in Punk Hazard. He was there. Why? We have no idea. To save a friend, you can go with that route, but at the same time, you can run into a few sidetracks. Working for Blackbeard sent him? Maybe, but still, you run into a few sidetracks. But the thing I'm really gaining from Aokiji is that now he's able to see things from the other side. He may want to actually turn from lazy justice to actually being assertive. He realized that my form of justice was not strong enough to beat his form of justice, and that in itself changes him. Just like we have certain changes in characters, now that Aokiji is actually seeing things and actually physically on the other side, we're going to get a different form of justice from Aokiji. So I really like how things are going to play out for him. And if he's moving forward, he started in Punk Hazard, it's possible that he's gaining information just like the Straw Hats are as they keep moving throughout the new world. Maybe he's right behind them. Maybe he's right underneath their nose. Pluton, question mark, who knows? But I do like where he's going. And it's even a thing that because he was trained by Garp, and that there's this theory that Garp is the head of Sword. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Who knows? That if he is, wouldn't that give him more reason to possibly go and save his friend? Maybe Smoker's a part of Sword. Maybe he actually ends up being a part of Sword. I don't really know. And I'm not trying to start headcanon too much deep into Sword, but maybe Aokiji is part of Sword. But also, if he's part of Sword, but also doing things as a pirate, that also helps him see things from the other way. But also, if he is part of Sword, what is Sword's real goal? Is it to usurp the Celestial Dragons? Is it to like just keep an eye on the Celestial Dragons? Is it just to keep them in check? You see, that's when you also run into some hurdles. But if the Sword is actually actively trying to overturn the current Marines, wouldn't it make sense that Aokiji may be the head of it himself and actually going to gain information that could possibly help him in overturning the current justice because his justice wasn't strong enough? I mean, being a pirate is not something far-fetched, and also being a Marine, we saw with X Drake. Who knows? Maybe Kobe may get into it. Maybe Kobe defected. Maybe Kobe defected and was actually going to help Boa after realizing the relationship between Boa and Luffy. You see, things start to get really interesting at that point. But moving forward, I really want to see how Aokiji, a man with his caliber, is going to play such a role in the story moving forward. And that's why Buggy making the bounty list, it may be a thing that even Aokiji's on that bounty list. Even though he's an ex-Marine, he's still a Marine that has that knowledge and that has that say-so. Say-so. No-so. There we go. All right. But for the most part, the way Aokiji is going to be present in the story, I also wonder how the other admirals start to play, because it could be a situation where admirals are sent out to take down Aokiji because of things he is doing. Maybe Green Bull leaves Wano, and lo and behold, he didn't run into Shanks. Like I said, maybe Aokiji's in Wano and he runs into him instead. I wonder how that would play out. Or maybe Fujitora. Maybe because Fujitora already has shown that he has some drawback to the royal government, and if he actually acts on that drawback and acts on that, like, no, I don't know, I don't really like this, then maybe he may defect, but maybe not defect, but also aid Aokiji. But maybe he stays in the Marines and aids Aokiji. Maybe he's a part of Sword too. And that's why I don't want to get too deep into Sword, but at the same time, we got to think about now the Marines are not only split and having the civil war amongst themselves, but they also like split thin throughout the entire world, dealing with pirates and also revolutionaries. And not to mention, we don't really know too much about the SSG and who Vegapunk's actually siding with. Because we already know Vegapunk left Kuma there to protect the Stride ship. At the same time, he's helping the world government build these pacifistas and SSG, wherever that may be. So it's really interesting to see how all these things are going to play out. And the reason I want to talk about Vegapunk just a little bit is because if he's able to operate on Kizaru, and if Vegapunk is operating almost like right on the line, right on the thin ice of what the Marines are really all about, it could be a situation that he also helps Aokiji. And then that's how we get our introduction to Vegapunk, because he's either we just straight up see him in Marijois or wherever he is, or we see him interact because he's also in the move and also moving with Poppy, Aokiji, and maybe even Sentomaru, and that's how we get both of them back into the story. Who knows? It's very interesting to see how things play out because there's a lot of characters that we haven't known. And that's like how we don't even know who Dr. Vegapunk is. We just saw Green Bull after the silhouette, and now, boom, the man with the burn scar also knows about rope poneglyphs. You see? Oda knows a way, or always has a way, to make things very interesting. And honestly, Mr. Too Cool has made things very interesting because now he hasn't even shown back up in the chapter, but all the theories and all the thoughts that maybe he is the man with the burn scar, it gets your mind going. Like, if he is, okay, how does he know what he knows and why is he doing what he's doing? But that's neither here nor there. And why is Kid actually be interacting with him? Has he met him in person, or is it through a broker now, or one of the underworlds, or one of the emperors in the underworld? But I digress from a lot of what I was saying, but I'm basically saying that future Aokiji may show why he feels that his justice is the stronger one out of the two, and may actually find a way to incorporate himself back into the story, maybe involving himself with the rope poneglyphs or maybe the ancient weapons, aiding Blackbeard or aiding another faction to overthrow what he's seen so far, hence the Celestial Dragons and the Admirals XYZ. But for the most part, Mr. Too Cool is too cool. And, you know, I gotta sign off. I gotta sign off on some heat. You know what I'm saying? Today we talked about past, present, future, Mr. Too Cool, Mr. Kuzan, Mr. One Blue Phoenix, Mr. AOE Aokiji, the man, the myth, the legend himself, the new Blackbeard associate, who knows, ex-Marine, ex-Admiral, ex-Pinnacle power of the top guns, Marines. Honestly speaking, a character with that much, I was going to say meat on his bones, but that much to actually go off of. With that one line, that one panel, just shows you why One Piece is so deep and there's so many depths to always be analyzed, and that when we think we're done, Oda adds one more layer and we go crazy. Honestly speaking, ladies and gentlemen, this man Aokiji is going to play a big role coming, and who knows where he's going to stay. What side is he going to be on? He's going to be a pirate. He's going to be a bounty hunter. Is he going to be a Marine again? Or is he going to be a revolutionary? Honestly, you can make a claim for all 4 of those, which is really crazy, which just shows the depth that this one guy had. The first admiral truly introduced, the one that had some connection to Robert, the one who had some connection to O'Hara, the one that has some connection to the pinnacle of power, or the people at the top, the Celestial Dragon. The ones that has knowledge to one of the strongest pirate crews in the verse right now, one Blackbeard. Saber Zebek, maybe he's looking for the body. Time capsule. But that's we're not gonna think about that. But all right, guys, let me know what you guys think down below. Where's Aokiji gonna land? What is he gonna do? Where is he right now? Would you like to see him come back? Do you think he's washed up, a has-been? Or do you think he can actually compete against the current fleet admiral? Maybe take over the position. Maybe you just want to put him down. I mean, he lost a leg. He may have a grudge too. At the same time, Mr. Too Cool himself has now put himself center of the storm that is the new world, the new era. Doesn't matter where they came from. Alkaido said he's going to drop them to the bottom of the sea, the depths of the sea. My man, guess what? This man can freeze the sea. He'll walk on the sea. He can ride a bike on the sea. And he fought you for 10 days, and he's ready to see you again. Battle on Punk Hazard Part 2. Dorian Broggy Part 2. Throwing hands. Well, he's at the eye of the storm, ladies and gentlemen. So, like I said, get right. Don't get left. Ride the wave. And remain paused, like always. And until next time, I'll catch y'all later. Stay enlightened. Peace. Peace and love. Catch you later. Come back next time. Hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the bell button to come back next time. And remain enlightened, y'all. Peace.